Welcome to the Lost in History channel. Make sure to subscribe and hit the like button so you don't miss any more videos like this one. The electric chair at Sing Sing Prison in Oning, New York, was installed in the early 1900s as the official way of carrying out executions. Kept in an isolated room, it became one of the most infamous symbols of punishment during that time. Men kneel while waiting for a public sentence in China in 1908. Taken near the end of the Qing dynasty, this image shows the strict common justice system controlled by local officials. Debbie Harry performs with energy at a live concert in the 1970s. With her unique style and bold presence, she became the face of Blondie and a symbol of the emerging punk and new wave music scene. A MiG-21 fighter plane crashed into a residential building in East Germany in 1975 after losing control during a training mission. A steel worker reaches toward the top of the Chrysler Building while working on the Empire State Building in New York City in 1931. The photo gives the illusion that he is touching the peak of the skyscraper in the background. Workers take a lunch break while suspended over the River Thames in London in 1934. Sitting on narrow beams during the building of a bridge or elevated structure, they eat their meals with a wide view of the city. St. Pancras Station in London was hit several times during World War II air raids. The heaviest attack occurred in May 1941, when 5 bombs struck, causing major damage. A view from the top of St. Paul's Cathedral shows London partially destroyed after the 1942 bombings. Amid ruins and smoke, the cathedral's dome remained standing, becoming a sign of resilience for the people of Britain. The battleship HMS Warspite rests in dry dock in 1916, showing damage from a 12-inch shell. The ship was struck during the Battle of Jutland, the biggest naval fight of World War I. A dust storm sweeps over Amarillo, Texas, in a scene typical of the 1930s Dust Bowl era. Strong winds lifted dry earth into the air, darkening the sky and affecting crops, homes, and people's health. The cable ship CS My Bennett was sent to the Titanic wreck site and began recovery work 8 days after the 1912 disaster. American soldiers crossed one of Venice's canals in amphibious vehicles in 1945, alongside traditional gondolas and local boats. The image shows Allied troops shortly after the city's liberation at the end of World War II. The raji is a traditional cane used in some South Asian prisons for corporal punishment. Made from bundled wooden sticks, it served as a disciplinary tool in older penal systems. Kindergarten children in Arkhangelsk take part in a group activity in 1968, wearing standard winter uniforms. They are part of the Soviet education system, which focused on discipline, social learning, and early childhood education. Yugoslav flight attendant Vesna Vulovic survived a fall from about 33,000 feet after her plane exploded in 1972. She was the only survivor and was found trapped in the wreckage with serious injuries. 2 technicians wear full protective suits in the hallways of the KV Nuclear Research Institute during the 1970s. Residents of Louisville, Kentucky, line up for aid during the Great Depression. In the background, a large billboard reads, "The American Way," promoting hope and prosperity despite severe hardships. A child flies a kite made of banknotes in Germany in 1923 during the period of hyperinflation. Narissa and Catherine Bowes-Lyon, first cousins of Queen Elizabeth II, lived in an institution in the United Kingdom due to severe cognitive disabilities. Born in the 1910s and 1920s, they were kept away from public attention for many years. A woman looks at nearly empty store shelves in the final days of the Soviet Union in 1991. The sparse displays and simple store layout reflect the economic collapse marked by shortages, rationing, and uncertainty. Engineers from the Kiris Radio and Television Center adjust a large parabolic antenna at a retransmission station on a peak of the Tian Shan Mountains in 1974. German children fly kites made from paper currency during hyperinflation in 1923. With money losing value so quickly, it was often used for play or as scrap. A man and his dog enjoy the view from a rock at Yosemite National Park in 1924. Both stand at the edge of a cliff, with the famous half-dome visible behind them. A worker paints the Blackpool Tower while balanced high on its upper structure, with a panoramic view of the town below. A column of Federal Army wagons moves out of Atlanta during General William T. Sherman's march to the sea in 1864, This campaign, part of the Civil War, aimed to disrupt the South's infrastructure. The U.S. Navy airship, USS Macon, launches one of its Curtiss F-9C2 Sparrowhawk fighters mid-flight during the 1930s. The ship, Marine Angel, 600 feet long and 70 feet wide, navigated the Chicago River on March 5, 1953. The maneuver was notable for the skill required to guide such a large vessel through narrow city waterways. Heinz Meyer cleverly escaped East Germany in 1963 by removing his car's windshield so it could pass under the checkpoint barrier at Checkpoint Charlie in Berlin. The quick action allowed him to cross safely into West Berlin. A massive MG cylinder is moved by a steam locomotive run by Pickfords in 1938 in the United Kingdom. The part was used in automobile production and required special transport equipment. The shortest, tallest, and heaviest men in Europe posed playing cards together in 1913. This was part of public exhibitions where people with unusual features were shown as attractions. In 1916, a whole building was moved on a barge along Ohio waterways, drawing locals who watched from the shore. A high-speed hydrofoil glides across the Moscow River in 1969, showing its sleek modern design. In the background, Soviet apartment blocks and historic buildings shape the cityscape. Workers sweep the New York Stock Exchange floor the day after the Wall Street crash in 1929. Papers and ledgers litter the floor after one of the most chaotic financial days in history, marking the start of the Great Depression. A woman demonstrates a sunbath machine in 1949 at the Automatic Machines Convention in Chicago. The device simulated sunlight using special lamps, offering indoor tanning. A woman sits calmly in a Paris cafe with her pet cheetah in 1932. The leashed animal draws attention from passers-by as her owner enjoys the moment like it was ordinary. Mary Monroe Sanderson, born in 1748 in Lexington, Massachusetts, lived until 1852 and is among the oldest people ever photographed. She was born before American independence and witnessed huge historical changes in her lifetime. Teenagers gather for Saturday night street races in 1957, driving modified cars in an exciting scene. It shows the vibe later captured in the film Grease, with roaring engines, dim streetlights, and cheering crowds. An automatic milk vending machine was installed on a London street in the 1940s. With its simple design, it allowed people to buy fresh milk without a shopper or attendant, especially useful during rationing. The Cunard ocean liner Queen Mary sits in dry dock for repainting. Built in the 1930s, the ship was a symbol of luxury and speed on transatlantic crossings. Two Victorian gentlemen pose with only their feet visible in a strange 1870s photograph. Wearing polished shoes and formal trousers, they follow the fashion of the time, though the reason for the unusual composition is unknown. Clerks at Scotland Yard worked in the records room in the 1920s, before computers existed. Thousands of index cards and files were manually sorted and stored, requiring constant accuracy. The cook shop on Drury Lane, photographed in 1877, was known for attracting gang members and underworld figures. Located in a busy area, the small eatery served quick meals at low cost. Huge Egyptian statues were displayed at the Great Exhibition in the Crystal Palace, Hyde Park, London, in 1851. The event brought together artifacts from around the world, showing cultural, industrial, and archaeological achievements. Sergeant Alvin York, one of the most decorated American soldiers of World War I, returns home in 1919. After his overseas service, he was welcomed by his mother and community with pride and celebration. Fishermen display a freshly caught halibut on an Amsterdam street in 1913. The large fish is carried by local traders, drawing curious looks from passers-by. Equestrian events appeared at the Olympic Games for the first time in Stockholm in 1912. Swedish rider Axel Nordlander stood out by winning 2 gold medals in horse competitions. During the 1940s, students took part in wartime emergency drills, being instructed to stay away from windows and hide under desks in case of air raid alerts. The building known as the Juni Ludowi Roundhouse was transported along the River Thames in London in 1917. This circular prefab building, with its distinctive roof, was moved by barge to its new location. Charles Stuart Rolls and Henry Royce founded Rolls-Royce in 1906, in the United Kingdom. Royce's technical skill combined with Rolls's business sense to make luxury cars known for their quality and performance. The Electra bus ran through London streets in the early 1900s as one of the first electric buses. Operating between 1907 and 1910, it provided a silent, smoke-free alternative to petrol engines. Katie Sanwina, known as Lady Hercules, performed as a strong woman on the vaudeville stage around 1910. With extraordinary strength, she amazed audiences everywhere. With impressive strength, she lifted weights, grown men, and even live animals during her daring stage performances. Women wash clothes in the river on a regular laundry day in Nice, France, in 1908. The scene shows many washerwomen kneeling along the riverbank, scrubbing fabric with their hands, while freshly washed sheets hang in the background to dry. A caretaker keeps a shoe bill in her bathroom after an emergency at the Berlin Zoo around 1945. With damaged facilities and limited resources, the staff had to improvise spaces in their homes to protect the animals. Vintage brand and product signs cover a wall in Cascade, Idaho, in 1941. The display includes signage for gasoline, beverages, tires, and stores, reflecting the graphic design of that era. Today, collectors would prize such pieces highly. Waiters take part in the traditional annual race in Soho, London. In 1955, balancing bottles and trays, they dash through the streets in a contest celebrating speed, skill, and balance on the job. Children play freely in Washington Park, in a scene showing a time when outdoor fun was simple and spontaneous. With no screens or phones, they run, jump, and explore the park with pure joy and imagination. A double-decker bus moves along London's streets in 1928, passing a small motorcar driven by a child. The scene highlights the contrast between the giant bus and the tiny car catching the attention of passers-by. A couple poses in a bison-drawn wagon in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in 1900. Using these native animals for pulling wagons was unusual and amazed viewers with their strength and majesty. 5 women enjoy themselves on a staircase in the 1920s, posing in relaxed and playful ways. Wearing typical dresses of the period and full of laughter, they show the carefree, lively spirit of post-war youth. The Hindenburg's dining lounge in the 1920s offered an elegant setting with large windows, soft chairs, and well-arranged tables. A Ford Model A sits on a lubrication platform in a lube shop in 1930. Mechanics perform preventive care, greasing important parts like the suspension and axle. A sergeant carefully feeds a tiny kitten with a dropper, showing tenderness during military service. The fragile animal receives gentle attention in the soldier's hands. 2 men stand beside a Coca-Cola delivery truck in the 1910s. Featuring the brand logo and detailed illustrations, the truck was part of the growing network distributing soda across the United States. Jim Henson poses with the newly created Rolf puppet in 1963. Made for TV commercials, Rolf quickly became one of Henson's most charming characters, known for playing the piano and having a witty, calm personality. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver celebrate their wedding in 1986 at a ceremony in Hyannis, Massachusetts. He, a famous Hollywood actor and bodybuilder, and she, a journalist and Kennedy family member, united 2 prominent figures in American public life. A cyclist from Tarvastu, Estonia, shows off his wooden bicycle in 1912. The handmade bike had a simple frame, solid wheels, and a creative handlebar reflecting local skill and ingenuity. Workers labor inside a Harley-Davidson factory during the 1920s. Motorcycles move along the assembly line, showing the brand's growth and the expansion of the U.S. vehicle industry. Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson appear together in the mid-1970s as they begin a relationship that would become one of Hollywood's most talked-about romances. Both were early in their careers and stood out for youthfulness and style. Albert Einstein teaches physics to students at Lincoln University in May 1946. Founded for African-American students, the university welcomed Einstein for a rare visit, where he also spoke about equality and social justice. Workers removed streetcar rails on 3rd Avenue in Seattle in 1943. The work marked the city's move toward prioritizing buses and cars in urban transit in the following years. A modern rural kitchen in 1930s America shows domestic progress of the time. The kitchen has a wood-burning stove, a plumbed sink, and neatly arranged utensils, reflecting the transition from traditional to practical homes. Production of the Volkswagen Type 2, also called the Kombi or Transporter, occurs at the Wolfsburg factory in Germany during the 1950s. President Richard Nixon offers a Pepsi to Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev at the American National Exhibition in Moscow in 1959. The gesture happened during the famous kitchen debate, symbolizing dialogue between the two countries during the Cold War. An Italian girl offers spaghetti to a British soldier in September 1943 during the Allied campaign in Italy. Workers installed telephone lines in Cortland, Kansas in 1903, marking progress in rural communications. Wooden poles stretch along the roads, linking communities to the wider nation. The future King George I of the United Kingdom and Tsar Nicholas II of Russia posed together in the 1890s. Blood relatives, they shared striking resemblance and close ties to Queen Victoria. A man holds a small donkey in his arms like a baby. The caption reads, "Rock a baby," capturing humor and affection in the moment. William Beebe is inside the bathysphere in 1930 during pioneering deep-sea exploration. The pressurized sphere allowed him to study deep ocean creatures up close for the first time. Construction of the Catskill Aqueduct System, one of the world's largest engineering projects, took place from 1906 to 1915. Tunnels, dams, and reservoirs brought water from northern highlands to New York City. The Soviet Bell AZ-540 mining truck was used in the 1970s for large construction and mining projects. Known for hauling huge loads, it was celebrated for its durability and efficiency in tough terrain. Edward Cook represented the U.S. in pole vault at the early 20th century's London Olympics, winning gold using a simple runway and a sand landing pit. Lady Florence Norman rides a motor scooter through London in 1916. The novel vehicle offered easy city travel, and she used it to get to her office inspector job. Between 1931 and 1934, artist Ola Kohn spent 3 years carving gnomes, fairies, and animals into a fallen red gum tree in Fitzroy Gardens, East Melbourne, turning the site into a magical outdoor artwork. West Ham fans lift a boy to the front of the stands to watch the match in a mid-20th century stadium scene, showing camaraderie and the welcoming spirit of English football. A young Steve McQueen serves as a tank mechanic and driver in the U.S. Marine Corps. Before his film fame, he showed discipline and technical skill in armored units. Leadenhall Market in 1920 dates back to the 14th century. Located in London, it was built atop the ruins of the Roman Forum of Londinium. Performer Diane Belmont is photographed on Broadway in 1940, before she became famous as Lucille Ball. She worked as a model and stage actress in comedy films before television state Ardham. Audrey Hepburn takes ballet lessons in the early 1950s, before achieving worldwide fame. With graceful posture and focused movements, she trained hard to pursue a dance career. A family gets ready to ride in their 1903 Cadillac Model A. Dressed in stylish clothes of the era, they settle into the open car, representing luxury and innovation in early American automobiles. Newborns are fed at a Moscow maternity hospital in 1957. Nurses prepare bottles, while babies lie in rows of cribs, showing the collective care typical of Soviet healthcare. During filming of The Empire Strikes Back in 1980, the actor in the Darth Vader suit is caught resting on a mattress on set, a casual moment contrasting with the dark on-screen character. Albert Einstein teaches physics at Lincoln University in May 1946, visiting a school for African-American students and speaking on equality and social justice. A young Italian street performer entertains children on a busy street in 1877, playing a hand-cranked organ and wearing a colorful costume. He captivates the children with music and gestures, while adults watch nearby. A 1940s U.S. sign shows gasoline pricing at 20 cents per gallon, with most of the cost going to taxes, clearly breaking down fuel costs versus federal and state levies.